Hello everyone, Ray here. I'm pretty sure the reason for all of you now watching this video is you are having a problem finding a beautiful, gorgeous IP68 water industry resistant phone in the past few months. We had a choice, we had it. Now we have an alternative flagship offer from Sony. It delivers great multimedia experience and a next-gen camera, also a stunning new design. The new Xperia XZ has a redesigned chassis and a new, stylish and unique blue color. If you want to escape from the majority with a much fancier looking smartphone, the XZ is definitely worth at least 10 minutes to watch a full review. Jury-rig everything did confirmed the frame holding the front, the back, the top and the bottom pieces together is made out of plastic. But the fact is, the coating on top does make the phone looks premium and metallic. Now it is winter, I could definitely tell the frame is not as cool to touch as the aluminum panel on the back. Still, it looks great. The design is also not unified and one piece as most other flagship smartphones do nowadays. The frame is apparently not meeting the glass panel as smooth as the Pixel XL does, while the plastic antenna cutout is also much darker than the rest of the device. However, it is clearly designed on purpose. The protruding frame makes the phone look even more rectangular while it's like melted to the glass panel on the two sides, so it's smooth to hold. While on the back, the darker antenna cutout adds contrast and style to the design. I mean stylish and sleek. Certainly every design has its style, either it is awesome or awful. The more obvious evidence is Sony manages to keep this terrific user-friendly SIM and SD card tray, while making it IP68 water industry resistant. The XZ has a more industrial design compared to its predecessor or pre-predecessor, the Z5 family, but it stands out even more. Simply no one could beat Sony on the design territory. The camera is another key feature of the Xperia XZ. It ships with the same old 23 megapixel sensor with an f2.0 aperture, identical to the X Performance, but the new black magic technology is 5-axis electronic image stabilization. Meanwhile, it packs an IR sensor for more accurate white balance and laser autofocus. All the new specs are expected to give buttery smooth videos, true-to-life images and snappy experience. 4K is back here as well. Manual shutter speed is finally added to the manual mode. It is crucial for a smartphone camera. With slower shutter speed, the time for letting light pass through the lens would become longer, and with more light, ISO setting could then be lowered to a reasonable level. You will have to hold the phone as stable as you can while taking the pictures, but based on my experience, half a second is still possible on the XZ. Just take a look at these two images. They are taken with the same phone. The one with longer exposure time and lower ISO is absolutely way smoother, more detailed and sharper than the one with over 1000 ISO on the left. I'm really glad to see Sony has finally listened to our feedback. With full manual controls over the camera, the XZ is the absolute best for low-light photography, even better than the Pixel, which gives the same level of details, brightness and contrast, but digital noise control in extreme environments such as night scenes is next to terrible. Of course, I do agree the Pixel is the best snapshot shooter. Even with auto mode, the image quality is comparable to the XZ, using half a second shutter speed. The Pixel is more user-friendly, but if you simply want the absolute best, here you go on the left. Back to daytime photography, they capture almost the same amount of details even though the megapixel count is nearly a double on the XZ compared to the Pixel. We can also find artificial effect on XZ's images, but it gives sharper photos at the same time, while not sacrificing the details this time around. It also gives very accurate white balance and natural color saturation. Rather than making the photos look even livelier than it is, Sony wants us to tell our friends the true story. Here's the criticism. Sony designs, manufactures, and provides the camera modules on the Pixel, and she also lets Google surpass her own flagship offer by a huge margin when it comes to dynamic range. There's no comparison at all. HDR Plus Auto on the Pixel is fantastic. Not only does it give much wider, a breathtaking dynamic range that no one can even come close, but also more details on the shadow. Or at 5-axis stabilization. Bad news for Sony. This black magic will only work in 1080p 30 fps, while the Pixel shoots 4K stabilized videos. Right after these few shots, I will give the answer to which video clips are from Sony and from Pixel XL. So we can conclude, Sony is still the king in video stabilization. No matter am I walking, shaking the camera, running, whatever I did during recording, it shows nothing on the footages except the spectacular city landscape. It is the absolute best, again, for video stabilization. On the Pixel it holds up really well. However, we can still find some wobbling effect, especially when I was walking faster than normal and not doing my best to keep the phone stable. But it shoots rock stable and crisp 4K videos most of the time, so it totally depends on personal preference. The display here on the XZ is also amazing. There's nothing out of ordinary on the spec sheet, but color reproduction, contrast ratio, and brightness on this 5.2 inches 1080p IPS panel is insane. Before I checked the specs, I thought Sony has moved to AMOLED technology. I know that's nearly impossible, and it's true. The white balance in the meantime is much more natural compared to its predecessor, the Z5. With all those customization settings including the white balance and the display modes, I would personally recommend turning on X Reality, but just forget the super vivid, seriously oversaturated mode. The dual speaker setup. The two front firing speaker setup, it does matter. The XZ continues to deliver balanced and crisp audio out of the box. It is not the loudest, but it simply pushes the XZ on top of other mainstream flagship offers this year. Sony speakers or Bluetooth headphones user will also benefit from using a Sony smartphone. LDAC capability lifts wireless audio to the next level. With 990 kbps bandwidth, which is close to the bitrate of an FLAC music file, wireless is now close to lossless if you have a Sony phone and a Sony headphone with LDAC capability. The SE-HX on the other hand, upsampling all music sources to a close to lossless experience. Oh, it also works well with my Sony speaker. With a beautiful display, two front-firing speakers and those in-house exclusive audio technologies, the XZ delivers better multimedia experience than any other smartphones on the market in 2016. Now it comes to the biggest flaw of this phone, only 3 gigs of RAM for a flagship device. In day-to-day media consumption, there's nothing unusual. The user interface is quick, responsive, and snappy. But when it comes to multitasking, it keeps closing background apps, especially games, when multiple games and apps are running at the same time. According to the speed test that we have all the devices running the same app list, the XZ fails to give 2016 flagship performance when multitasking is added to the test. Battery life though is pretty good for a phone from Sony. It is actually the best I've tested from this manufacturer. It is also marginally better than the iPhone 7 Plus, but nowhere come close to the Pixel and Samsung. The test is based on a battery consumption for 4 hours with videos playback with a maximum screen brightness. So the Xperia XZ, it is a near-perfect alternative to the Note 7. It has a stunning, stylish and sleek design, a really great camera, the absolute best for low-light photography and videography. The XZ also delivers the best multimedia experience. The biggest flaw would be multitasking. If you multitask a lot with 3 or more games running at the same time, well, it is surely the minority. You will have to look for a phone with 4 or 6 gigs of RAM. There you have it. Thanks for watching. Like it if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest reviews. See you next time.